Hello class, today we are going to cover how to use commas correctly. The first slide here talks about how to use commas when separating items in a list. The first example is, I will bring the drinks, cups, and plates. See, the commas are between each of the items. The comma between cups and plates is called an Oxford comma, and that is the one area that you have liberty to decide whether or not to use a comma in the comma rules. Some people use it, some people don't. The only thing is if you do decide to use it or not to use it, that you're consistent throughout your writing. The next example is use care in your writing when using commas, semicolons, and colons. And you can see here that I have used the Oxford comma again. You can practice this by using commas to help create a shopping list. The next slide here talks about using commas when writing dialogue. Dialogue is whatever people say to one another. So when you write about a conversation between two or more people, you have to use a comma before the quotation marks, like in the first example. Toby said, comma, I have homework to finish. In the next example, the comma is used after the quotation, but after the quote, but inside the quotation. I think I have read this book, said Katie. The next slide is to use a comma to set off words yes and no. Yes, I did get your message. No, this is spelled incorrectly. This is a fairly easy rule. It's just important to remember it whenever you use yes or no in your writing. Here we talk about that commas are used when writing a direct address, meaning when you write someone's name. Sarah, this is your new class. Are you paying attention, Alex? This is a similar rule to the using commas when writing yes or no. You just have to be careful to remember to do it whenever you write someone's name. Use a comma before a coordinating conjunction in a compound sentence. Remember, a compound sentence is when you put two independent sentences together to form one sentence. That means if you can take out the coordinating conjunction like and or but, the two sentences will remain independent and they can stand on their own. I would like to go to practice, but I am very sick. I love ice cream and chocolate is my favorite. If we take the second example, we can see here that I love ice cream is one sentence that is fine on its own, and separately, chocolate is my favorite is another sentence that is fine on its own. Use commas after an introductory element from the rest of the sentence. After the movie, be sure to call your mom. After the movie is the introductory element. An introductory element is used to prepare your reader for the rest of the sentence. An introductory element is not necessary for the sentence to work, but it does help add detail and it makes your writing more interesting. When it is time to go home, please push in your chairs, and I have italicized the introductory elements here. Comma use in dates. This one can get a little bit tricky. You just have to remember that the comma goes after the number of the day, so August 23rd, 2014, the comma goes after 23rd but before the year. And when you include the day of the week, Friday, January 9th, 2015, you include a comma after the day of the week and after January 9th, before the year. When writing about cities and states, you use a comma after the city and before the state, San Diego, California, and the same with Tempe, Arizona. Comma rules may seem complicated, but with practice it will become easier. If you review your comma usage often, you will do better in correctly using commas in your writing. It's a skill that does take some time getting used to, though. If you are uncertain about comma placement, try to read the sentence out loud. In most cases, if you pause, a comma is needed. And you can see even as I'm reading these sentences, each of my pauses were places where the comma was needed. It may seem easier to avoid using commas, but this will not help your writing. If you think that you can get away with simply making two sentences independent and stand alone, just to get away with not using your commas, it's going to make your writing sloppy and it is grammatically incorrect. Here I have linked a game to try, and this is just for practice with correctly placing commas. It's called Rags to Riches, and when you start, it gives you a sentence here. You have to choose A, B, C, or D. Which one is the correct answer? Finally, she had the correct answer. The finally here is the introductory element. So that would mean the comma goes after finally, but before she. And the correct answer is C. And then you're given another example. So try and practice your comma rules, and just remember you can always refer back to this screencast for extra help.